So a little bit of a negative board there when it comes to lean hogs. Let's bring back in our guest analyst, Oliver Sloup. Oliver, anything stick out at you there in the livestock market?
Well, I've got to say the live cattle have been very impressive here this week. We were thinking that they might be in a choppy sideways trade ahead of tomorrow's cattle on feed report, but they're breaking out a big above some big technical levels thanks to the cash market firming up a little bit, which I think really opens the door for that June contract to potentially make a run at those contract highs. Now, on the feeder cattle side of things, they've still got some work to do technically before giving the advantage to the bulls. As far as the technical landscape goes, we're right at about 165 in that May contract. If we can get out above there with some conviction, we could potentially get back to the top end of the range from the end of March, which comes in closer to 170. But we might need to see a pullback in the corn market be the catalyst to propel feeders higher here in the next week or so.
Depending on what index you look at, and it looks like the consumer's having a little bit of a struggle here. Have we seen a lot of pushback at the meat counter when it comes to some of these prices?
Yeah, we've started to see a little bit, but not to the extent that I would have thought. And we did have Jerome Powell speaking earlier today, and that's kind of put a little bit of nervousness in the outside markets. The equity markets are selling off a little bit from their early morning highs in a very orderly fashion. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue. And if that does continue, potentially that puts a little bit more panic into the cattle complex ahead of the weekend and ahead of that big report tomorrow afternoon.
All right, that's great stuff. Thank you very much. That's Oliver Sloup from Blue Line Futures in Chicago.